are you doing? Or good evening or good afternoon, wherever you're watching from. I hope you're doing really, really well. I'm going to be making some lovely cone jewellery with you today. Now, I think there's six lovely colours. They're all going to be on these gorgeous connectors. So I'll be making a pendant and earrings with you. And in your kits, I think you get two, I think. So two pairs of earrings and two necklaces. They're really nice, really simple to do. It will involve a little bit of doing a turned loop. So you'll need your round nose pliers, some wire cutters. We're going to be using head pins and eye pins, stringing onto Tigertail, and then these gorgeous, lovely beads and lovely cones, which come in a graduated size. You can use a looper tool with this as well. I would just say be a little bit careful when you are turning the loop on top of those lovely cones. So I'm going to say hello to you and then I'll take you over to the website. So I've got lots of you in already, but I'm sure there's more still waiting to join us. So good morning to Rachel. And there goes the pop-up and I can't see. She says, good morning from a cold barrow. She's having a haircut while she's watching. So she can't join the chat, but she's watching. So I hope you're well, Rachel. Good morning to Phoenix. Good morning to Jan. She says it's cloudy and sunny in Sudbury. She's been looking forward to this project and she's already got her order in. So thank you so much. Good morning to Star. Hello to Janice. She says, good morning, everyone. Does it ever stop raining? Great for ducks and beading, but just too much water lately. The weather here is overcast and drizzly, and it will be raining again come school pick-up time because it always does. Got absolutely soaked again yesterday. Yeah, it's been felt cold as well this morning. I was like, where's the spring? When's the spring coming? I've got lots of birds floating around in my tree, and I've got a pair of magpies which are starting to build a nest in the great big tree that we've got in the back garden. So it's been quite nice watching them. So spring's nearly on its way. And I seen my first bumblebee as well today. It was massive. So that's what's going on in nature in my world. Good morning to Yolanda. She says, happy Friday. It is Friday. Happy Friday. Hope you're all planning a really lovely weekend, whatever you're up to. Hello to Trish. Good morning to Carol. Good morning to Sue. Hello to Elaine. And good morning to Camille. She says, good morning, Natalie. How are you, my dear? Slightly grey but dry here. Grey here, but doing well. Thank you. Had a busy week. I've always got a busy week, and I've got a busy weekend ahead of me as well. Got a show on Saturday tomorrow, so I'm heading down to the studio tonight, and then Sunday I've got a brunch with Paw Patrol. Because what else do you do? I've got a very almost 6-year-old, so we're doing something for his birthday this weekend, and I've just got to get organised. Good morning to Tracy. Phoenix is off out with Meg. Good morning to Celia. Meg's the dog, by the way. She says the sun's trying to break through in Bolton. Sharon is saying good morning to Creative Beads and Ears. Good morning to Francis. Oh, Amethyst 222 says good morning, Totally Beads family from a grey and wet Kingdom of Fife in Scotland. A treat to join her live. She's on annual leave. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm loving the name as well. One of my favourite gemstones. Good morning to Joanne. She's saying she's looking forward to today's. She missed Wednesdays because the gremlins were too much. Yeah, I think Kitty had quite a few tech issues on Wednesday, and God love her voice she's still not 100%, is she? Phoenix says, love the earrings. Thank you very much. Made them myself. And that's the joy of being a jewellery maker, isn't it? People say, well, I like that. And you go, I made it myself. Thank you so much, Joanne. She likes them too. They've got some beautiful white jadeite in them. And they're just little swirls, little twirls. I haven't done any proper sit-down wire work, it feels like, for ages. So last night I made my friend, it was her birthday, and she's just lost her doggy, so I made her a little paw pendant. She won't be watching, so I can tell you, maybe even show you at the end. It was a quick make. I would have liked to have spent more time on it, but just sitting down and just touching the wire just made me feel happy. Good morning to Kath. How are you doing? Good morning to Leslie. She's watching, and she's got warm weather in New York. Oh, Lucky you. Right, I'll take you over to the website now and I'll show you all the goodies today that you can get in your kits if you choose to make along with us. If you've got bits in your stash, then hopefully this might inspire you as well. We are totalybeads.co.uk. This is our website, and here you'll find our video tutorials. There's lots of ways to get into the video tutorial categories. I always just click at the bit at the top and you'll see all our lovely makes, the Carmen comb necklace and earrings. So we've been discounted as well, which I think is lovely. So you're going to be able to choose from the blue iris, the bronze, the crystal AB, the purple iris, the rainbow, and the silver. Now we've named these colours on the cones that you're getting. That's going to be your primary kind of colour, but of course we're adding lovely beads into that as well. The cones do come in a graduated size, so it won't say, you know, necessarily the measurements of the cones, because they do vary. So it's up to you how large you want to make these. You could use the smaller ones, you could add different amount of drops onto them, but I've made them all the same. They are reduced from £10.99 to less than £10. They are now £9.56, and you're getting loads in your kit because it makes 2 sets. So you can see here, this is the beautiful iris blue, and you're making 2 of those, so 2 necklaces and enough for 2 earrings. So you're really getting an awful lot in your kit today for less than £10. It's a really good bargain. You're going to be getting your crystal comb beads, which are these. So you can see here, as I say, they graduate into different sizes, so you can make chandelier type earrings and pendants with that. You're going to get your glass pearl rondelle beads, which are these, which we're just doing an easy strung necklace. So I think there's 42 beads on each side. You're also getting chain in this, so you can make that as an extender as well. So you can choose how long you want these necklaces. If you want it longer, you don't have to add more beads in. You can just add more or less of the chain that runs around the back of your neck. And the chain is beautiful. It's got this gorgeous hammered texture onto it as well. You're going to be getting your connectors. So you're going to get this one here, which is your 5x1. So you can see there's 5 lovely holes, kind of loops in that. So one at the top to connect on to this gorgeous little connector, which again is going to be in your kit, which is going to go directly onto your necklace. It's like a little bead hanger. And then you're going to get these lovely charms. So the one on the necklace is larger in size. It's got this gorgeous, I think it's like a wave motif on it. Really, really pretty. And that's going to match the connectors, which you're going to get 4 of, because you're making 2 pairs of earrings. And they've got 3 loops on that one. So we've done lovely chandelier kind of drops with them. I really, really do love those connectors. If you wanted, you could use them on a bracelet as well. So if you didn't want to have 2 pairs of earrings, you could use those. You could do a multi-strand bracelet with that, and you could add those connectors on to your clasp, which I think are really lovely. They're very versatile. You've got your bail bead. That's what this is here, that's hanging in the middle. You've got your head pins, and you've got your eye pins. So the eye pins, I've got the loop on the top. I will show you those. And we're making them into double connectors, so we can hang an extra kind of layer of those lovely beads onto the bottom of them. And then the ones that finish at the end are your head pins. They've got that nail tip finish on the bottom. You're getting your clasp, of course. You're going to get the tiger tail to string the beads onto your main necklace. You're getting the chain and you're getting the jump ring. So you'll need a jump ring here just to hang that pendant off. And we're going to hang the earrings just directly off the connectors. So your other 2 jump rings will run along the back where that chain fastens. So absolutely loads in your kit. If you're wondering exactly, I want to know the exact measurements of those antique silver metal connectors, you can see them here. It's plain on one side. So it's got a front and a back, and it's got this beautiful kind of wave kind of texture on the front side. You're getting your it's called a crystal tree comb bead in 3 sizes. So they go from smaller to large. You're going to get the aqua pearl rondelles, which are 3x5, and your bead hanger charm is 4mm as well. If you want to buy any extra of these, you can do. You can click into this section here and you can just add more into your basket if you wanted. So for example, the silver hanger beads, which are 4mm in size, you're getting 20 pieces of those for £1.50. I've done a necklace before where I've used different ones, but those kind of bead hangers, and it gave a beautiful, I think I did it with gemstones, a big kind of collared effect. It was really, really lovely. There's lots of different things that you can use these components for, so don't feel you have to do exactly what I'm doing here, but if you want to follow along and you're looking for a pattern, you can do. These are the sizes of the cones, so there's 3 sizes in that one strand, so you're getting your 16x8mm, and there's 11 beads on your strand there. You're getting the 12x6mm and the 8x4, and you've got your whole size that runs from top to bottom in those, and that's 1mm in size. I've used these a couple of times because I think they do really lend themselves to be nice drops. Oh, don't know what happened there. But also I've done like little Christmas trees and things with them, because they've got that lovely kind of cone pointed effect. So that one is your blue iris. If at any point you're not sure of the size of anything, then do please check out the website, because all those details will be on there. If it doesn't say in the main drop down list here, you'll be able to see on your product information at the bottom. In terms of the pins, I'm using 50mm, just so we've got plenty of space for the largest cones, but there's lots of sizes to tell you today, so it's possibly easier to just go on the website and have a little look here at the bottom. This gorgeous colour is the bronze, so we've got those beautiful bronze cones, and we're going to be using the ivory glass pearl rondelles, and they look beautiful together. I'll show you them all down on the mat as well. All of your findings are going to be like a silver, and then all of your connectors are antique silver. So it's got like this beautiful patinaed effect on it. So it is silver, but because it's antiqued, you kind of get those kind of dark lines running through it. But those connectors will be the same, and all your findings will be the same in every kit. The colours that change depending on which one you want will be those gorgeous cones, this one being the crystal AB, and of course your kind of pearls as well, which are the rondelles 3x5. This time we're using the pure white with the crystal AB. Looks kind of wedding-y. There's wedding season approaching. I think this is, it looks fancy. I always think anything with kind of a clear crystal gives that kind of fancy effect. And these cones are faceted as well. The cut to them means that they really do sparkle and shimmer. And as I say, I'll show you them down on the mat so you'll be able to see the twinkle on those. This is really, really pretty. Photographs not doing that too much justice. It's a little bit dark, but I think I probably photographed them late at night when I'd finished all these samples. So we're using the purple iris cones and the silver haze in these. So the silver haze looks gorgeous with them. It kind of reflects off that purple and gives it that kind of almost a lavender type tone to it. So that one is your purple iris. They are £9.56 for your kit, and you're making 2 sets up. So you're making 2 necklaces and 2 pairs of earrings. This one's the rainbow, and they really are rainbow. There's everything in there. There's blues, there's greens. If I just hover over, you can see all of those twinkles. Very, very pretty. This is the one I'm going to be demoing with for you today. And the rondelles that we're using is the lilac. They've kind of got a lovely kind of pinkish tone to them. Really, really pretty. And I think it complements those crystal cone beads very nicely too. Look at that. £9.56 for 2 sets. What a bargain. And lastly, but by no means least, if you're liking the monochrome, then this is the silver. So you've got a beautiful silver colour on your cones, and the rondelles that we're using are black. So you've got that lovely monochrome effect. I do think they look very stylish, and you don't have to wear them together. I think I'd probably wear those earrings just every day on their own with like a black jumper or something. They're really, really pretty. I hope you like them. I hope there's a colour there for you. I think they should be. I think we've covered pretty much most bases. We've not got reds, but we haven't got green either, but you know, we've got those rainbows in there, and that's got everything. So I'll stop scrolling up and down. I'll say a quick hello to anybody I've missed, because we've got quite a few more of you join us, and then I'll show you them down on the mat. So Camille says the sun's trying to come out where she is. Star says, oh, they look lovely. Good morning to Sally. She says, hope you're all keeping well. Windy and damp in Torbay today. She's given me some palm trees. Annie's in. Hello to you. And Julie has ordered them all. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. I hope you like them. They are a fairly easy make. They do take a little bit of time. Just mainly picking out your colours, really, in terms of the size of the cones, and choosing what you want. But if you've got them all, Julie, you don't need to choose. Just decide which one you're doing first. You could mix them up as well if you wanted to. There's so much on my mat, I can barely show you. So if you wanted, you could, if you've got them all, I think those kind of bronzy gold and the black would look lovely. My camera's going a little bit slow. We've got these beautiful blue ones. It's difficult to show you because obviously when you're wearing them, they're all going to hang beautifully. And we've kind of graduated that size, so that middle one's going to be dangling just slightly longer than the others, and just mixing up that pattern. You can do whatever you want in terms of this pattern, but doing this way, they do all fit together lovely. I'm barely showing you that sparkle, but if I just give it a little twist in my hand, can you see how sparkly they are with those cuts on those cone beads? And really gorgeous rondelles as well running through them. They would be gorgeous together if you wanted to mix your clear AB with that blue iris. You could use the rondelles from one and the crystal cones for another. Give kind of a little beachy vibe. So it is difficult to show you them because obviously they hang, they're meant to be worn, so they're meant to sit this way. When I'm tilting them up facing the camera, they don't quite sit as beautifully as they should. This one I'm loving, that's the purple. It's coming across very dark on the camera. It might be easier to show you the earrings. And then we've got the rainbow here. Let's show you some of those rainbow twinkles. Really lovely. And of course, you're getting all your earrings as well. So as I say, I'm, going to be just using the 3 dangles off that one. And I really, really love these connectors. I'll just slide them up really quickly so you can see each one. This has got an AB finish to this clear crystal. And the camera can't pick it up because it's like, there's too much to focus on. But what that AB means, it means Aurora Borealis. So it's got this kind of petrol, kind of rainbow twinkle finish on it. So if you can imagine, you can pick up the pinks and little bits of gold. Hopefully that's coming across. These are the beautiful purples. The rainbow. Ooh. We have the silver with the black rondelles. And we've got the bronze with the ivory. These bronze, they are bronze, but they've got kind of like a more gold than brown tone to them. They look beautiful together. I love the combination of those pearl rondelles with that. So they are what we're making today. I'll leave that one there, and I will leave that one there just so I've got something to work off in terms of my sizes. Now you can do this whichever way round you want to. If you want to string your necklace first, you can. If you want to do your connections first, you can. I think today I'll do the connectors. I'll show you it all, but just so you can see. So I've got these beautiful little connectors in my kit. You can see here, if I hold this one up, can you see that beautiful wave pattern? So it's patinaed, as in you've got that dark antique look to it, which just brings out the detail beautifully in those swirls. Camille says bronze is her favourite, and Joanne says so pretty, a tough choice. We've got these lovely carrier kind of beads as well, so they've got a really gorgeous kind of thick size to them and a little loop, so that's just going to hang off the top of that necklace connector, or using it as a necklace. As I say, if you wanted to, you could easily do those if you were stringing beads in between. If you wanted to make a bracelet, obviously, well, I wouldn't. No, you could do it just a little bit, but this would attach usually to the back of your clasp. Julie says they're all gorgeous, beautiful colours. Thank you very much. And this is the chain that you're getting as well. So as I say, it's got this beautiful kind of hammered texture to it. And this, I've just put on probably about 15 centimetres of the chain, and then just cut it equally in half so I can attach on my lobster clasp and my jump rings. It's a 12mm lobster clasp that you're getting in this. But this is just going to give me the option to kind of extend that necklace and let it fit nice and comfortably. Sometimes it's nicer to wear a chain necessarily right round the back of your neck than it is the beaded section of your necklace. But these rondelles are very, very comfortable to wear because they all just sit pretty. My hands are a little close, so I'm hoping that my camera stays focused. So if you're going to start on the connectors first, you will get your cones out of your pack and you'll see it goes from the smaller size and they graduate going larger and larger and larger. Look at the twinkly rainbows until you get these largest ones at the bottom. So what I tend to do first is I just tend to place out the positioning in which way I would like to have my earrings and which ones I would like to have on my necklace connector. So I'm just going to cut open my strand, and I tend to cut open both ends, to be honest, because I'm going to be using a few off all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my earring, which will have 3 dangles off. And you can graduate the sizes of these whichever way you like. So if I just bring this one in, I've got, and you could, as I say, if I get, I've probably got another one with the smaller sizes. Let's have a little look. Sorry, I've put them on the floor and now I've lost what I'm looking for. But you can change up the sizes. You could have the smaller sized cone if you wanted on this. I've gone for the middle ones, as long as you've got them the same on each earring, because these aren't going to change size, but this will change size. So you want them to be matching. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of these off so I can get into the middle part, the middle size ones. So I'm going to use 3 of the middle size ones on these earrings. Again, I'm just placing them kind of down on my mat to begin with, just so I know I've got the same kind of sizes. So I would say that one and that one's a similar size. There you go. So I would use 3 on that for each earring, and then I would use one of the larger ones for that middle center, like so. Now, if you've got the rainbow ones here, don't worry if these have got a slightly different finish on. So you can see this one's looking more gold and this one's looking more blue. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my gorgeous rondelles out. And I would add one, can't think of the word, pin with the loop, eye pin, to the top with those. So I'd be getting 3 of those on there. And then I'll be placing 1 at the bottom. Don't worry if they're all over the place at the moment. And then I'm just going to add 3 onto the cones at the bottom. I find that adding one of the rondelles just make the cones sit a little bit prettier against the pin. And the pins that I'm using on the bottom are going to be my eye pins, my head pins, sorry. So I will show you the difference between those, and then we'll start making our connectors. So for the difference in the pin, you can make your own eye pins if you need to. I'd probably use a 0.8mm wire, excuse me, but you can see here the head pin has got that nail tip finish, so it's nice and flush at the end. And the eye pin has a little loop on, so it's shaped like a little lollipop or a letter I, and then I can make that as a double connector. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I'll do the bottom ones first. I want those on eye pins. So I'm just going to thread on the rondelle and make it sit right nice up and close to that little eye pin there. Move over a little bit, and then I'm going to slide on my cone. And I would probably set up my pins first before I start turning them all. And the reason why I'm laying them out, mainly so with the earrings, is just so I can get that symmetry on each one. And then they will hang the same on both earrings. So I'm going to get 3 of the, can't think of my words today. The ones with the flush nail tip finish, my head pin. And I'm going to slide those on. And I've got my larger cone, which is going to be in the middle. And then the medium size ones at the end. Again, if you prefer, you could use the smallest of your cones and the medium size ones as the larger. So I'm just sliding them on there, and then I'm going to start turning my loop. So what I'm going to get is I'm going to get my pliers out, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a bend. So it's a 90-degree angle, and it's just going to sit nice and flush to the top of that cone. And you could do kind of like a little production line if you wanted, where you do them all and you turn them all, or you can do them one by one. What I would say is just be careful when you're bending that pin so you don't chip the top of the cone. It doesn't matter too much, but obviously we'd like it to not have any kind of sharp bits on. So what I'm doing is by bending that pin over in a 90-degree angle, is it's going to ensure that when I turn my pin, my loop is going to sit nice and neatly on the top. Now, if you want the size of your loops to be exactly the same on each one, you can, of course, use your looper, or you could use your bail step pliers. I find them really useful for certain things, but I do prefer to use my round nose with these, I'll be honest. So when you've got your round nose, they are tapered. So the larger the loop I want, the closer to the handle I'm going to go. The smaller, I'm going to just use the little small tapered end. If you want them exactly the same, you could draw with a little marker pen on your pliers whereabout you want to turn that loop. But I don't think it matters too much. Mine all turn out to be roughly about the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, leaving 1 centimetre on that pin. I'm going to hold the end of it because I want to make sure that I'm not firing that pin away. And I'm just going to get my loop or my loop started by putting my pin flush into the pliers. I'm holding down that cone between my finger and my thumb just to keep it in place. And with a little rotation of my wrist, I'm just going to turn that loop so it sits nicely at the top. Now I want that loop fully closed. So I'm just going to come in and give it an extra turn. If it needs straightening up, I can pop my plier back in and just turn that up. But we are going to be opening those loops. And I'm not doing a wrap loop with this because I want to be able to open it up so I can attach it essentially to the dangles at the top. So I'm just, again, putting it in, giving it a little flick towards me, repositioning my hand and rotating that all the way round to make my loop. So I'm going to do that with each one. I think for time's sake, it may have been quicker to just do one earring. But you will find that they will all be the same size, providing I'm using the same size cones. That loop's not great, it's not quite straight. So just go in and reposition it. So I'll just move that to the side. I do think it'd be quicker, given the fact we got the pendant and the string in to do. So again, just cutting my pin, holding it with my finger. I can always keep those off cuts for something else. I'm using the 50mm pins in this project just because I want to make sure I've got plenty of room. So that would be essentially my bottom dangle. And then for the top one, I'm going to use my eye pins. So on the top, I want the outer to just have the 3 rondelles. So I'm going to slide 3 on. Again, if you want to kind of speed yourself up and you would rather use your looper tool, then you can do that. What I would do is I would position my pin and move these tools from under my wrist. I would position my pin right through the looper so it comes out the other side. If you want to, you can give it a little bend out of the way at this point. So I'm going to put my loop up so it's facing towards me. I'm going to slightly bend that down, and if I'm using the cones, I'll tend to bend it first, just so when this cuts and turns, it's not going to catch at the top. And that's going to turn that loop for me. I might want to go back in with the round nose and just check that it is all the way fully closed. And if I need to straighten it up, I can do. So it's up to you what tools you've got to hand and what you want to use. I prefer to turn everything by hand. I just feel like I've got a little bit more control over it. But of course, if I am making lots and lots of these, then I probably would use the looper at some point. So again, I'm popping for the center one. I'm going to have that cone with the dangle on top of the little rondelle. So I'm just going to bend it. I bend it first. Not everybody does. Some people will will cut it and then turn it. But I always like to bend it first and then cut it. So it just depends what you want to do. Getting that nice and flush in between. So I'm making sure I'm turning all of that pin, and I'm just going to give it a little rotation all the way until that loop is sitting at the top. And then on the other one, again on the outside, on the right hand outer side, I'm just going to add the 3 rondelles. And it doesn't really matter with this design which way your loops are facing. I always like to have them facing the same way rather than one going in one direction and one in the other, but it really doesn't matter. But if you do end up with them slightly different, you could always just hold it between your pliers and give it a little twist. So I'm turning that loop all the way round. I always find if I slow it down, it never goes quite as perfect as it could do. But if I've turned it and it's not sitting right in the centre, then I just put my round nose pliers back in the loop and I give it a little reposition. So now it's just a case of assembling those. So I want to have my cones with the narrowest part at the top and the wider part of the cone at the bottom. So to attach them together, I'm just going to open up the loop by giving it a little flick up, slide my other connecting hole from my other dangle above and close it back over, and then again at the top loop, and then just slide it onto the hole in the connector and close it back down. Now I'm only opening up my loops a little bit, maybe a millimetre, just so I can get the other loop in. Just want to make sure it's closed so it doesn't, come unstuck. Just just going to check that that one's fully closed in. The one at the top in the middle will be the one with the rondelle at the bottom of the cone as well. Just give that a little flick open, just enough so I can slide in the connector. Now I've put these on this time with the pins facing the opening towards me. It probably would be slightly more professional looking if they were that way, but again, they're going to move and dangle, so it really doesn't matter too much. I find it easier just to look at it. But you could always, if you do find that it's easier to have them facing you, then turn your connector and put them on that way. So turn your connector to the back, and then you'll see there all the close-ins that way. So I probably should have done it that way, but I'm rushing. So now I've got my earring dangle. It's just a case of taking my ear wire, which is also included in your kit. Brenda says the rainbow is her favourite colour. Phoenix is singing at me. And who's popped in there? Hello, Rachel. How's your hair getting on? Camille's asked to give me a heart and a thumbs up for our Natalie. That's very kind of you. You don't have to, but I think it does help the algorithm, and it helps me know. If you're not liking it, you can always give me a thumbs down. That's fine. So I'm just opening that little ear wire. As I say, they will be in your kit as well. And then you just close that over. So everything you need is here in this kit for less than £10 if you choose to get it, and you're going to make 2. So that is your earring. And again, you know, you could always have them as smaller pendants if you wanted to, but they just, I can just lay it flat. They are really gorgeous and a really lovely length. It is absolutely chucking it down outside now, torrentially raining. So for the pendant, it works pretty much the same, only we've got 5 loops on this. So I'm just going to place out the cones and show you how I position them. So I've got the smallest on the ends, so the smallest cone I'm going to position here, and that will also have the little rondelle sitting underneath. Again, I'm using the eye pins for the top row. The ones second in will just be 3 of the rondelles on their own with no cones. Obviously they're laying flat, so they're sitting a little bit wider. You never know, Camille. They might do. So I'd put those in the second. And then for the middle hole, if I just bring this one out, I've chose a medium-sized one here. So I'll have the medium-sized cone and a rondelle underneath. And then at the bottom, I'm going to have 2 small again on the outside with the rondelle. I'm then going to have 2 of the mediums. So I'm just holding them against each other just to make sure that obviously as it graduates and I'm running along my strand, that I have indeed got, you know, similar sizes there. It's very easy to just pick up a slightly larger size. And they will also have the rondelle. So I'm finishing all of them with a rondelle. In this design, I always have a rondelle on the bottom. And then for the middle, I'm going big. So I'm going to have the largest one there. And again, with the little rondelle. So my top section loop will always be the eye pin. So I'm going to need 5 for those. And then the bottom will be the head pin with the nail tip finish. And I'm going to need 5 of those as well. Phoenix, you do make me laugh. Amethyst says, gorgeous design, Natalie, as usual. Thank you so much. Well, I can't take credit for this one. This was another one of our lovely Brendas who's found the connectors and thought, let's do this design. So I've put them all together. I've made all the samples, but she came up with the design. I just made it. And to be honest, I didn't do any tweaking with it. I just thought it all works perfect. They all fit together. But you can change whatever you want in terms of your design with this. You can change about the sizes of the little cones that you want to use. You can do whatever you want. So as I say, I tend to find it a little bit easier to lay it out first, especially with the earrings. I am going to show you the looper with the cone. I'm going to be brave and I'm going to show you the looper with the cone in a moment, just to show you that it can be done, but you do need to be careful because you don't want to chip the top of it. So again, I'm just turning the pins. You could do wrap loops, I suppose, if you wanted to use. I wouldn't use a wrap loop with the head pins. They're a little bit too tough. But if you had a ball pin, you could use the ball pins on the bottom, and you could do a wrap loop with them. But I would make sure that I'm still using the eye pin above, so I can open and close it to connect it. But these pins are really nice and strong and sturdy, so you're not going to need any, you don't have to worry about them falling apart or losing each other as long as you turn that loop. Now, if I'm going to use the cone in the looper, I'm pushing the cone right up to where that little part is, but I'm going to give it a little move back out ever so slightly and bend it out the way, because when I close it over and it starts to turn, if I do this incredibly slowly, you can see this bit here is going to come, and that's the bit when it's turning that it can chip the top of that cone here, and we don't want that. So I would just move it out ever so slightly, which is going to give you a slightly longer part to the pin. Usually when I'm turning it by hand, I'm making that bend right at the top of the cone, which means there's not much space. So you can do it this way, and if you do it that way and you're doing them all with the looper, then they're all going to have that kind of same length and distance. I apologise if you can hear the background noise. We do have that one slightly chipped already. So I'm going to swap that over. Yeah, I've got neighbours, if you don't know, having an extension, so there's lots of drilling and work going on. So if you can hear, I apologise. So I'm taking it ever so slightly. It's not even a millimetre. It's just enough for me to bend that cone out the way. And then I'm going to do it slowly, so I can just watch and make sure it's so super close. There you go, you can see now. Almost touching, but I've done it nice and slowly, so I've been able to keep an eye to make sure that there's nothing chipped there. So again, I'm going to just bend. Cut in about a centimetre, keeping it nice and flush, rotating all the way round to make that little loop on the top. Phoenix says, I tried a looper once at a bead fair years ago, but can never get the loop close enough, and half the time I have to go back in and make it round. I did a better job with the round nose pliers. I personally agree, Phoenix, but I think, one, it depends on what you're used to. Some people, like myself, don't mind turning loops, don't mind turning a lot of loops. Excuse me. And I find it, part of the joy of making. I'm also a little bit of a perfectionist, so I can ensure that I'm getting it turned really right. But if you are, if you struggle, I don't know why I'm struggling with this. If you struggle and you've got, maybe you do have a little bit of arthritis or even a bit of repetitive strain, if you're batch making these, if you're making a lot of them, and you are getting two in each kit, so If you are making a lot of them, maybe you're making a lot of them to sell at a stall or something, you might just feel like you just want to speed yourself up. And the looper is great for that because it just makes it so quick and easy. But you just use whatever is best for you. I do tend to find you just do what you first learn. So if you've never turned a pin before and you watch, say, this tutorial and you learn to do it this way, then you will probably find that this is the way that you continue to do it. But lots of people have different methods of doing different things, and I think it's the same with anything really. You just tend to stick with what you feel most comfortable with. So to just do that top row, again, I've got them in the order that I want them. The outer one is going to have the smallest cone on with the rondelle at the bottom. The second hole in will echo the same on the opposite side, and that will just be having 3 of the rondelles. You'll see I just tend to rub my finger very gently over the back of my pliers just to make sure that it is flush. So that one will connect to that one, that will connect to that one. The middle will have the medium with the rondelle at the bottom. And I'm putting my cone on so it's widest part first. Bending it. I've bent my pin so my loop is this way at the bottom facing in that direction, and if I turn my pin this way, the loop at the top will also sit in theory in the same direction. Just keeping hold of that end bit as I cut it just to make sure it doesn't ping away, checking it's flush, giving it a little rotation. Camille saying she can't hear anything, which is just as well because there's a drill going. As long as it's not distracting to you, then I'm fine. I can just ignore it. Phoenix says, you always make it look easy. I have to remember to wear my supports on both hands. I forget half the time, but yes, pliers and half the hands don't always go well together. I remember making kind of like a looped, I think it was a bracelet or a necklace, and I must have done them in about 12 colourways, and there was 100 rotated pins. It wasn't just a one turn, it was a continuous turn, and there must have been 100 on each, and I sat and I did them all in one go, and by the end of it my wrist was really sore. So do make sacrifices for you on a life. But that type of turned loop that I was doing, you couldn't do with a loop tool anyway. It was all done by hand, and I did it with the bail step pliers, which is a really enjoyable thing to do if maybe you're just making the one. But after making like 1,000 pins, I just my wrist started to ache. So don't put yourself under any strain or stress. Your hands are your tools. See, this one's turned, so I'm going to have to straighten that up in a second. Yeah, this is meant to be enjoyable. Jewellery making is meant to be, I think, therapeutic. So if you feel like it is too much, look at the tools and the technique that you're doing. This I always flick up, and then I'm not putting the strain on my wrist. I'm just slowly doing the little rotations. If I need to straighten those pins up, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take pliers on one side and pliers on the other and very gently give it a little twist, and then they will run parallel in the same direction. But yeah, take a break from it. I know we are busy, and if we are making orders, then we do sometimes have time constraint against us, but just always look after yourself. Use those protective, eyewear and things like that. I never do. I'm naughty. But, I would always advise safety first. So I'm just attaching. Oh, I've attached them on wrong. I was just picking them up. Wasn't really following my pattern there. So I'm just going to open it up. If you do put them on the wrong way and you do make a mistake, like I've done here, I've put them in the wrong order, then all you need to do is just open it up again and then thread them off, which is, the good thing about not having a wrap loop. Nothing's permanent there. So what I'm going to do is you could change up the design, but they fit together nicely in this order. Can't get it off now. Get that out of the way. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the smallest cone with the rondelle onto the end and close up. And then on the bottom, you can do them all along the top, or you can do each one as you go. The bottom will be exactly the same. So a small cone with a small rondelle. Obviously, I'm making sure that the eye pin is on the bottom row. Then the second one in is going to be the rondelles on their own on the top. And then I'm using a medium one to attach onto that, closing over. So I'm putting the pins on, I would say, in the right direction now, so the closes towards the back, but they will rotate a little bit. Then the one in the middle is going to be a medium-sized cone. Hooking that on. I tend to work from one side to the other, because if you put the outer ones on first, it can be a little bit tricky getting into that centre. I'm going to have the largest cone on the bottom. And then again, it's just going to mirror on the opposite side. So just the rondelles onto the one next to the middle, second from the end. Finishing with the medium cone. Making sure that loop is closed up. Camille says she would have started in the middle first. Again, you do you. I don't think I've got really particular way of doing it. I think depending on what I'm doing, I just pick it up and work whatever I do at the time. It might be easier to do the middle first. I just tend to work along. Okay. So now this is going to connect to the main body of my necklace. I've got 6 minutes, so we might get it done. I'm going to take a jump ring, and that's going to fit onto the middle and then onto the beaded hanger. So I've finished with my cones. You'll see you've got all of these cones still left. There's going to be just all of them cones still left. So that's going to be enough to make another necklace and another pair of earrings. I've got more cones than that. There's some more over that side. And then I'm going to just start with my beaded strung necklace. So I'm going to take my tiger tail that is in my kit. You use whatever length of your tiger tail that you want to. I tend to just pop it around my neck, to be honest. Usually cut around 50 centimetres, 45 centimetres of the tiger tail. If it does come on the reel, which it might do, you can always just leave it onto the reel. Now, I always find if I'm not doing a particular pattern and I'm just straightforward bead stringing, then what I do tend to find is leaving my beads or my rondelles on the strand is sometimes quickest and easiest. And then I'm just going to line my tiger tail up, if I can, into that hole, and then I'm going to count them. So I want each side of my necklace to be the same. So I'm going to put 42 of the rondelles on to each side of my necklace. When I say each side, I mean each side of the hanger bead. So I'm just going to slide them up, and it's quicker, I find, this way when you get going, but it will depend. Sometimes there's a little bit of the colour in the way, so you could just run it up and down a little bit like that on your string. Get, as long as your tiger tail end is nice and flat. It's not going to work now, is it? Tell you what, I'll give that a little tiny trim. So the tiger tail is, I think it's 7 pieces of very thin wire, and it's then nylon coated, which makes it lovely and flexible, and nice and sturdy too. So it should just, there we go. So if I line them up, the more I add on, the easier it gets. At this stage, I'm not making it look any easier. It would have been quicker to just pick them up one by one, but I will just slide them on. My tiger tail going through the middle. Bent it slightly again, my in shot. Also, you won't have a ring light probably under your face, so that'll make it easier. Now you can just pick these up and just thread them on by hand, but I thought this would speed me up, and it's not really doing so today. So you've got little bits of the colour from the beads, which might block the hole. But the more I go along that string, just sliding them up. So for these necklaces, I have put 42 of the rondelles onto each side, and that will be enough, as well as adding on that chain. So I will just then pull the string out, and then I've started to string my beads. So let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8 is 30, 31, 32. I've lost count. Right, well, I'll make it smaller anyway. So add on your 42 rondelles if you want to do the same as me. What it does make me laugh is me saying this might speed you up. When you're just bead stringing, it really doesn't need to get much quicker than it already is. Just picking it up and popping it in. Camille can hear the banging, I'm sorry. Okay, then I'm going to get my bead hanger. Doesn't matter which way you put this on, as long as you're going through the main hole here and not the little loop there. I will then add on the rest of my rondelles onto the other side, making sure that they are equal on both sides, and then my pendant is going to sit in the middle, and it's going to just hang nice and evenly. So when it works, and just holding that thread and tiger tail against each other, and then it's literally a case of just transferring them. So I'm running it through the hole in the tiger tail's running through the hole in the rondelle, and I'll do them probably in little groups of like 4 or 5 or something, and then I can just move them along. So I just transfer them from one to the next. I'm not counting them now. Probably should. I know I've run over a little bit, but I feel like I've come so far. May as well finish it. At least just get to the point where I'm attaching the chain. So I'm going to line them all. So I've got 42 on one side and 42 on the other. Let's do a little count and see where I'm up to. Just pull that string back out. Okay, so when I've added all of my beads on, I'm then going to add my findings. So I'm going to have my culottes in my kit and my crimp beads as well, enough to double crimp. I know when Kitty was doing her bead stringing project, she was showing you that you can run that tiger tail back through, and if you've got particularly heavy beads, then I would probably suggest to do that. But because these rondelles are very lightweight, because they are glass pearls, they sit really nicely close up to each other as well, so there's not much weight on it even with the connectors. And what will happen is you'll find that if you're running that tiger tail back through the other end of your beads, then you've got to try and get into it to cut it. So these sit nice and flush up against each other, so I don't think it's needed. So I've just added 2 of the crimp beads onto the end, and I've closed up the culotte. And then I'm going to take the other end, which is still attached to my tiger tail, and I'm going to cut off just so I can leave myself a little bit, maybe like an inch or so. I'm going to add my culotte onto the other side. So the hole is going to be next to the bottom of those rondelles. I'm going to put my first crimp bead on and let that drop right inside of the culotte, so it's nice and close. If you want to, you can position your necklace into a bit of a curve. I think what I should have done is just line them up against each other to check I've put the same amount on each side rather than counting. It's not entertaining watching me count, but there you go. So I've put 1 crimp bead on, and then going to add another crimp bead on, so that's going to fall right on top of the last one. Again, coming in with my pliers and just squishing that down nice and flat on top of the last one. That's going to hold my culotte in place. With my cutters, I'm trimming off that little bit of excess. So in hindsight, if you keep it attached to a reel, you waste a lot less. That is the amount of tiger tail that I've wasted as an excess. I'm going to close it over with my fingers first, just to line up those little holes in the back of, or the top of my culotte, and then I can attach my charm with my jump ring. So my dangling little connector is going to go onto the bead connector. And then I'm just going to add another jump ring onto a little length of chain. So the chain that I've used is this gorgeous hammered chain. All I've done to connect that on here is, again, you can make that as an extender chain as well if you wish. If you want it to sit smaller, what's lovely about the chain is you've got these lovely hammered links. Managed to tangle that up, so just bear with me. There's all bits all over my desk as well now. So all I've done is attach the jump ring onto the chain. So I've cut about 15 centimetres off the chain, and then I feel a sneeze now. Excuse me. So I've cut about 15 centimetres of the chain. I'll then fold it in half. So I've got like 17.5 centimetres on each side. My links will be even. I can open up the link or I can just cut it in the middle. So I've got 2 even sides. Just going to attach that onto the jump ring. And then because the chain links are a really nice size, you can get those jump rings into the links of the chain with absolute ease. So I'll be attaching my lobster clasp onto the other end as well. And just to demonstrate that, I'm just going to open the jump ring up ever so slightly and literally thread it on to the last link of the chain. So you can see that, you're not fiddling around trying to get your jump ring into the chain link here. It's really, really gorgeous. Rachel says, I like Rolo chain. Thank you, Leslie. She says, bless me. It goes on tight. So that is how to make your necklace and your earrings. I do apologise for running over slightly. I just wanted to make sure that you've seen the process and you've seen how it worked. And we've got 6 beautiful colours on the website for you today. They are Carmen cone necklace and earring sets. They are £9.56. And that's going to give you 2, so enough to make 2 necklaces and 2 pairs of earrings in either the blue iris, the bronze, the crystal AB, the purple iris, the rainbow, or the silver. So I do hope you like them. They don't look as lovely when they're sitting flat on the desk. They need to be worn. So I'm going to bring myself up very, very quickly, and I'm going to pop it on and show you. Everyone said, bless me. Rachel says, they do look beautiful. We'll check out the kits later. Thank you very much. Camille says, they're very pretty. Phoenix says, I often hide a small bead in the large hole of the bead bail, and that keeps the string centre. You could do that. This isn't needed, though. This doesn't probably work with this top. But you'll find because the rondelles are even on each side, and I've pushed up that tiger tail with the culottes nice and flush, then the necklace chain is running around the back of my neck, and this is keeping, there's no movement. It dangles, it's got that lovely dangle because I've attached it with a jump ring, so there's movement, but it doesn't move from the center. And earrings, I'll just put one in for you. They are really nice length. So they are statement kind of chandelier earrings. And they look very pretty with the hair up, I think. I'm just going to wear one. Amethyst says, great tutorial, Natalie. Have a great weekend, everybody. Jan says, very beautiful blues. I've got a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful weekend all. Thank you for another great tutorial and gorgeous make. You are most welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm going to be back with you on Monday. Who am I? What day are we on? I'm going to be back with you on Monday, and I'm making earrings, I think, with you on Monday. And I've got lovely a component that I've not really worked with before. They're like little tubes. So I'm going to be I've put a kit together for you, and I'm going to show you about 5 different designs that you can do with them. You're really going to be able to play about and be creative with them. So I hope you enjoy them, and I hope if you can come back on Monday that you do. Trish says, love them. Phoenix says, have a weekend. Love the tutorial. Star says thank you. Have a great weekend, everyone. You're most welcome. I hope you all have a lovely weekend, everybody. Stay warm, stay dry, and I will see you on Monday. Take care.